Welcome to the Property Wealth Podcast. Today, we're diving into something that can really make a difference for real estate investors. Direct mail marketing.
Yeah, it's a bit underrated, but it can be a powerful tool for connecting with potential sellers and buyers.
Exactly. And it's especially useful for those of us who might not be as comfortable with digital marketing, right?
Absolutely. There's something personal about receiving a well-crafted letter in the mail. It can really stand out in today's digital world.
So what can our listeners expect to learn today, Mike?
Well, we're going to break down the basics of direct mail marketing, how to get started, what types of mailers work best, and some tips on crafting messages that really resonate.
And we'll also touch on tracking your results, so you know what's working and what's not. It's all about creating a strategy that fits your investment goals.
Right. And we'll share some real-life examples of investors who have successfully used direct mail to find deals.
Sounds fantastic. Let's jump right in, shall we?
Sure. Let's start with understanding the fundamentals of direct mail marketing, what exactly it is, and why it can be so effective for real estate investors. Sarah, when we talk about direct mail marketing, it really hits home for those of us over 40. We're at a stage where, retirement is starting to loom on the horizon, right?
Absolutely, Mike. And with everything going on in the economy these days, inflation, market fluctuations, it can feel a bit daunting.
Exactly. So when you think about it, direct mail can be a real game changer. It's not just about finding deals, but about building a reliable income stream,
Right. And for many folks, that steady income is crucial as they approach retirement. It's like a safety net.
Yeah, and I've seen it firsthand. I was working with an investor, let's call her Lisa. She was in her early 50s and had been relying on her job for income. But with the market being so unpredictable, she started to worry about her retirement plan.
That sounds stressful.
It really was. So we talked about direct mail as a way to find investment properties. She sent out targeted letters to neighborhoods she was interested in, and after a few weeks, she got responses.
What happened next?
Well, she ended up purchasing a couple of rental properties that cash flowed nicely. It was a real turning point for her. She started feeling more secure about her financial future, like she wasn't just relying on her job anymore.
That's amazing. It's such a tangible way to start building wealth.
Right? And think about the emotional side of that, too. Knowing that you have real estate working for you, that it's not just in the stock market or something volatile.
Yeah, and especially with inflation being such a concern. Property values tend to rise over time, and rentals can keep up with inflation too, right?
Exactly. Real estate has that intrinsic value that can protect you from inflation. For Lisa, it wasn't just about the immediate cash flow. It was about securing her future and giving her family something to fall back on.
That's a great point. Many people over 40 are also thinking about wealth transfer to their kids or grandkids. Having properties can be a legacy.
Absolutely. I've seen investors who, they start small, but over time, they build a portfolio that they can pass down. It's like planting seeds for future generations.
And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start with one property, build from there.
Right. And direct mail can help you find those opportunities that might not be on the market yet. There are so many homeowners out there who are thinking about selling, but haven't taken the step.
And that's where a personal touch can make a difference, right? A heartfelt letter can resonate more than just a text or email.
Exactly. People want to feel like their property is valued. A well-crafted letter can show them that you're not just another investor looking to make a quick buck.
Yeah, it builds trust. And trust is so important, especially when you're dealing with someone's home.
Definitely. Plus, when you send out direct mail, you're also showcasing your commitment to the community. You're telling them, hey, I'm here to invest in this area, and I care about it.
That's a great perspective. And it's not just about finding deals, but about building relationships, right?
Exactly. And for those of us over 40, we have the experience and the wisdom to approach these relationships thoughtfully. It can be a real advantage.
So what about the current economic trends? How does that play into this?
Well, with interest rates fluctuating and the market shifting, many people are looking for alternatives to traditional investments. Real estate is often seen as a safer bet.
Right, especially when you consider the long-term benefits.
Yes. And let's not forget, when you invest in real estate, you're also providing housing. You're contributing to the community in a meaningful way.
That's a really fulfilling aspect of it.
It really is. And for many, investing in property isn't just financial. It's emotional, too. It gives a sense of control over one's financial destiny.
That's a powerful feeling, especially as we age.
Totally. And I think that's why direct mail is so important right now. It empowers you to take charge, to seek out those opportunities that align with your goals.
And to create a legacy, which is something many of our listeners are thinking about.
Exactly. So as we transition into the core strategies of direct mail marketing, let's keep in mind that it's not just about the numbers. It's about the people, the relationships, and the security that comes with investing in real estate.
Yes! Let's dive into those strategies next.
So let's dive into some core strategies then. One of the most effective ways to find potential investment properties is through direct mail marketing.
Right, and it's surprisingly straightforward once you break it down. So where do we start?
Well, first off, you need to identify your target audience. Are you looking to reach distressed homeowners, or are you more focused on finding motivated sellers?
Good point. Each audience requires a different approach. For distressed homeowners, you might want to send letters that offer solutions, like cash for their home, or help with foreclosure.
Exactly. And when you're crafting your message, keep it personal. Maybe share a bit about yourself and why you're reaching out. People respond better when they feel a connection.
So what does that look like in practice?
Let's say you're sending out postcards. You might write, "Hi, I'm Mike, and I've helped homeowners in similar situations find relief and move on with their lives." You know, simple, relatable.
That's really nice. And do you have a specific frequency in mind for sending these out?
Consistency is key. I recommend a monthly mailing for at least 6 months. You want to stay top of mind, but don't overwhelm them.
And what about the design? Should it be flashy or more straightforward?
I'd lean towards straightforward. Clear, readable fonts and a nice image, maybe of a happy family or a house. You want it to be inviting, not overwhelming.
Got it. And I imagine tracking responses is crucial too, right?
Absolutely. Keep track of which mailers get the best responses. You could use a specific phone number or a unique landing page for each campaign.
That makes sense. Then you can adjust your strategy based on what works.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about evaluating deals once you start getting leads.
Right. I've heard about the 1% rule. Can you explain that?
Sure. The 1% rule states that the monthly rent should be at least 1% of the purchase price. So, if you buy a property for $200,000, you'd want to see at least $2,000 in monthly rent.
That's a good benchmark. It helps you quickly assess if a property is worth pursuing.
Yes. And then there's the 50% rule, which is about estimating your expenses. It suggests that about 50% of your rental income goes toward operating expenses.
So if we go back to that $2,000 rent example, you'd estimate $1,000 for expenses?
Exactly. That gives you a rough idea of your cash flow. If after expenses you're still left with a solid profit, you might have a good deal on your hands.
And what about cap rates? I've heard that term thrown around a lot.
The cap rate is another useful tool. It's calculated by taking the property's net operating income and dividing it by the purchase price.
So if a property generates $20,000 a year and you bought it for $200,000, the cap rate would be
10%, right? That's a solid return. A higher cap rate usually indicates a higher potential return, but may also mean a riskier investment.
That's something to keep in mind. What's the ideal cap rate to aim for?
It really depends on the market, but generally you want to see at least 7% to 10% for a good investment in most areas.
And then there's the checklist for evaluating properties, right?
Yes, a simple checklist can help you stay organized. Start with the property's location. Check the neighborhood, school districts, and nearby amenities.
Then what?
Next, look at the condition of the property. Are there major repairs needed? That can eat into your profits.
And don't forget about the numbers. Purchase price, renovation costs, and how much you can realistically rent it for.
Exactly. And consider the financing options too. You can go traditional with a bank loan, or if you're open to it, private money lenders can be an option.
I imagine that could speed things up, especially if you find a great deal and need to act fast.
Absolutely. Just make sure you have a clear plan on how you'll pay them back.
Right, and let's not forget about property types. Are there certain types of properties you prefer?
I typically focus on single-family homes or small multifamily properties. They're often easier to manage and have a larger pool of potential renters.
That makes sense. What about commercial properties?
Commercial can be lucrative, but they often come with longer vacancies and more complexity. You really need to know what you're doing there.
So sticking with residential for your first few deals is a safer bet?
Yes, definitely. It allows you to build experience without diving into the deep end right away.
Well, that all sounds so practical and achievable. But I'm sure there are pitfalls to watch out for, right?
Oh, for sure. The next step is to talk about those common pitfalls that can trip up even experienced investors. So, Sarah, one of the biggest pitfalls I see with new real estate investors is over-leveraging. They get so excited about the potential returns that they don't really consider the risks involved.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in the numbers, right? What have you seen happen when someone over-leverages?
Well, I once knew an investor who bought a property in a hot market, thinking it was going to skyrocket in value. They maxed out their mortgage and, didn't leave any room for unexpected expenses.
Oh, wow. What happened next?
The market shifted, as it often does, and they found themselves unable to cover the mortgage payments. They had to sell at a loss. It was a tough lesson. The key takeaway here is to be conservative with your leverage. Aim for a manageable debt-to-income ratio.
That's really important. And I guess it ties into cash flow too, right?
Exactly. Ignoring cash flow can be a real trap. Investors sometimes focus too much on appreciation and forget that properties need to generate income to stay afloat.
Right. Have you seen any real-life examples of that?
Sure, there was a couple I worked with who bought a duplex in a desirable area, but they underestimated the operating costs. They thought they could charge a premium rent because of the location.
Sounds promising.
Yeah, but they didn't account for the fact that the neighborhood was changing. They ended up with tenants who couldn't pay the rent consistently. Their cash flow was tight, and they were struggling to cover the mortgage.
Oh, no! That sounds stressful. So how can investors avoid that kind of situation?
Keeping an eye on the market trends is crucial. Look for indicators that suggest whether rents can sustain your expenses. It's important to analyze the rental market thoroughly before jumping in.
And what about timing the market? I've heard people say you should only buy when the market is right.
That's another common pitfall. The truth is, waiting for the perfect moment can lead to missed opportunities. I had a client who sat on the sidelines for years, thinking prices would drop.
And did they?
Nope. When they finally decided to buy, prices had gone up significantly, and they ended up paying much more than they would have if they'd acted sooner.
So the lesson here is to not let the fear of timing hold you back?
Exactly. Focus on long-term goals rather than trying to time the market. Real estate is a marathon, not a sprint.
That's a great way to put it. And what about hidden costs? I imagine those can sneak up on you.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of first-time investors overlook those. For instance, I had a buddy who bought a fixer-upper thinking he could renovate it cheaply.
That always sounds tempting.
Right? But once he got into it, he found a ton of structural issues, plumbing problems. The costs just piled up. He had to spend way more than he originally budgeted.
That's rough. Did he end up regretting the purchase?
He did, but he learned a valuable lesson about budgeting for unexpected expenses and doing thorough inspections before buying.
So doing your due diligence really pays off.
Definitely. And part of that is spotting red flags early. If a property shows signs of neglect, or if the seller is evasive about repairs, that's a big warning sign.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a red flag. What other signs should investors be wary of?
Well, if the returns seem too good to be true, they often are. If a seller is pushing for a quick sale without a valid reason.
That's a classic sign, isn't it?
It really is, and also make sure to scrutinize the tenant history. Bad tenants can be a nightmare, and if a property has a history of high turnover, that might indicate deeper issues.
That's good to know. Is there a way to mitigate the risk of bad tenants?
Absolutely. Conduct thorough background checks, check references, and don't skip on the lease agreements. A well-crafted lease can save you a lot of headaches down the line.
So you can be proactive about these issues rather than reactive.
Exactly. And staying educated about the market, your properties, and your tenants can really help you avoid these pitfalls.
So if someone finds themselves in a tough spot, what are some next steps they can take to recover?
Well, first, assess your situation honestly. If you're over-leveraged or struggling with cash flow, it might be time to consider refinancing or even selling a property that isn't performing.
That makes sense.
And if you're dealing with bad tenants, consider working with a property management company. They can help screen tenants and manage the day-to-day operations.
Smart move.
And remember, it's important to learn from your experiences. Every mistake can be a stepping stone to better decisions in the future.
Absolutely. So it sounds like staying informed and being proactive really makes a difference.
Definitely, Sarah. It's all about building a solid foundation for your real estate journey.
And that's what we want for our listeners, right? To feel empowered and equipped to make smart investments.
Exactly. Let's transition to some practical steps and strategies they can implement moving forward. All right, so let's dive into some immediate actionable steps that our listeners can take right now.
Yeah, I love that. What's the first thing they can do?
Well, I think starting with direct mail marketing, it's all about creating that first piece of content. A good first step is to sit down and draft a simple letter, something personal. Maybe even share a bit about yourself, why you're investing, and how you can help sellers with their properties.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Just get something down on paper.
Absolutely. Once you have that draft, you can use tools like Canva to design it, make it visually appealing, or even just a clean, straightforward format will work.
And what about actually reaching those sellers?
Great question. For that, you'll want to build a targeted mailing list. Websites like Zillow can help you identify neighborhoods with potential leads. And then you can find property owner information through local tax assessor websites or even mailing list services.
Ah, I see. And once you have that list, what's next?
Then it's time to send those letters out. You could do this manually, but I recommend using a service like Click-to-Mail. It simplifies the process and can save you a lot of time. You just upload your design and the list, and they take care of the rest.
Perfect. And what about tracking responses?
Good point. You'll want to keep track of who responds. Set up a simple spreadsheet to note down who you've contacted, any replies you receive, and then follow up.
That's key, right? Following up can make a huge difference.
Definitely. Now let's talk about some useful apps and tools people can use. The BiggerPockets calculator is fantastic for analyzing potential deals. It helps you run the numbers easily.
Yeah, I've used that. It's super user-friendly.
And if you're looking to evaluate rental properties, Rentometer is a great tool to check local rental prices. Helps you see if your expected rent aligns with the market.
Oh, and local MLS access. That can be a game changer too, right?
Right? If you can get access to your local multiple listing service, it opens up a treasure trove of data on properties that are on the market, and even those that have sold recently.
Sounds like there's a lot of useful information out there. Are there any books or podcasts you recommend?
Absolutely. The book on rental property investing by Brandon Turner is a solid read. It's packed with practical advice. And for podcasts, I'd suggest checking out the BiggerPockets podcast. It's full of real stories from investors, which can be really inspiring.
I love that. Real stories can really motivate you.
Right? And speaking of motivation, it's important to develop some good habits. Maybe commit to analyzing just one deal a week.
That sounds manageable.
Exactly. And also consider joining a local real estate meetup group. It's a great way to network and learn from others in your area.
That's such a good idea. Connecting with like-minded people can really help you stay motivated.
And don't forget to celebrate small wins. Whether it's sending out your first batch of letters or analyzing that first deal, every step counts.
Yes! It's all about progress, not perfection.
Absolutely. So, those are some practical first steps. Now let's bring this all together. Wow, what a journey we've had today, Sarah. We really unpacked a lot about direct mail marketing for real estate investors.
Absolutely, Mike. It's fascinating how something as simple as a postcard can create such powerful connections, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, I think one key takeaway is consistency is key. You can't just send out one batch of letters and expect immediate results. It's all about building that momentum over time.
For sure. And I loved how we talked about personalization. Tailoring your message to your audience makes a huge difference. It shows you care and really want to connect.
Exactly. And then there's the importance of follow-up. Just because someone doesn't respond right away doesn't mean they're not interested. Following up can really help turn those cold lids warm.
Right. And let's not forget about tracking your results. Knowing what works and what doesn't helps you refine your approach and improve your outcomes.
Yes, Sarah. It's like a feedback loop that keeps getting better.
And at the end of the day, it's all about building wealth through real estate, isn't it? It's an empowering journey, especially for those of us over 40 who might be looking for new opportunities or even a change in direction.
Absolutely. Real estate can be a fantastic vehicle for financial independence and security. It's never too late to start investing and making your money work for you.
So if you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment below with your biggest takeaway or a question you might have. And don't forget to share this with anyone over 40 who's considering diving into property investment. They might just find it helpful.
And next time, we're going to dive into driving for dollars, spot deals on the road. So get ready to hit the pavement and discover those hidden gems.
We can't wait to share more insights with you. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, happy investing, everyone.
Take care and see you next time.